Three Argentine players who make their living in England have sparked a controversy so intense that it has reached the British Parliament. UK politicians are openly discussing whether their work visas should be reviewed, and whether they should even be allowed to continue playing football in the country. But forget Parliament for a moment, because the bigger story is unfolding somewhere else entirely. At Stamford Bridge, at Old Trafford, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, among the fans who fill those stands every single week and ultimately pay these players' wages. Those supporters are asking a completely different question. Do they even want these players back anymore? And once you understand everything these players actually did, not just the brawl, not just the World Cup final, not just the banner, you'll understand why this has escalated from a football controversy into a political debate and a genuine discussion about whether Argentine players belong in the Premier League right now. And that's only England. In Madrid, the city still celebrating Spain's World Cup triumph, two Argentine players at Atletico Madrid are facing incredibly uncomfortable situations. One may never wear the club's shirt again, while the other must walk back into pre-season training and face Spanish teammates whose captain he punched in the stomach after the final whistle. Parliament, immigration debates, fan backlash, awkward dressing rooms across Europe. And for these players, the consequences are only beginning. Let's start with the banner because this is where the story in England truly begins. It's also the moment that many people outside Britain don't fully understand. July 15th. Atlanta. Argentina have just beaten England 2-1 to reach the World Cup final. English players are still standing on the pitch, devastated, trying to process what has just happened. In that moment, Giovanni Lo Celso takes a banner from supporters in the crowd. Lisandro Martinez joins him. Christian Romero joins him. Nicolas Otamendi joins him. The banner reads, Las Malvinas son Argentinas. The Falkland Islands are Argentine. For anyone unfamiliar with the history, in 1982 Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, a British overseas territory in the South Atlantic. Britain responded by sending a naval task force. The conflict lasted 10 weeks. 255 British service members lost their lives. 655 Argentine soldiers were killed. 3 civilians from the islands also died. Britain regained control, and 44 years later the islands remain under British administration. The scars of that conflict never completely disappeared. British referees are still not assigned to Argentina's World Cup matches because of the sensitivity surrounding the issue. And now for Argentine players, 3 of whom play every week in England for English clubs in front of English supporters, held up a banner connected to that conflict. On the football pitch, in front of England's players, only moments after knocking them out of the World Cup. And here's what makes the situation even harder to defend. This wasn't the first time. Back in 2014, Argentina displayed exactly the same banner before a friendly against Slovenia. FIFA investigated the incident. The federation received a £20,000 fine and was warned that political messages violated tournament regulations. They were told not to repeat it. 12 years later, during a World Cup semi-final against England, they did exactly the same thing again. Same banner, same message, same controversy. And to many people, it appeared they had learned absolutely nothing. The reaction in Britain was immediate and far more serious than anything these Argentine players had experienced before. Politicians publicly condemned the incident. Andy Burnham described the banner as completely inappropriate. Members of Parliament began discussing whether there should be consequences that extended beyond football. One question quickly dominated newspaper headlines and television debates. Should Lisandro Martinez, Christian Romero, and Enzo Fernandez be allowed to keep their UK work visas? Now it's important to be accurate here because credibility matters. Immigration experts have pointed out that visa cancellation remains extremely unlikely under current UK law. Political expression, even when highly controversial, generally doesn't reach the legal threshold for deportation unless it involves inciting violence or threatening national security. The Home Office has taken no action, and legally speaking, governments have very limited grounds to punish someone purely for making a political statement. But that's not really the point. The fact this conversation reached Parliament, major newspapers, and national television sends a message to every Argentine footballer playing in England. Your place here is not beyond question. Everything you do, both on and off the pitch, is now being watched far more closely than before. That alone represents a serious warning. Now let's move away from Parliament because this is where the Real story begins. At club level, Lisandro Martinez returns to Manchester United carrying all of this with him. A player admired by United supporters for his fearless attitude, relentless defending and commitment now walks back into Old Trafford as one of the players who proudly displayed that banner immediately after eliminating England. Some supporters will forgive him, others won't, and away fans across England certainly won't forget. Christian Romero returns to Tottenham Hotspur under similar circumstances. First came his celebration, sprinting across the pitch after England conceded, just to scream in Jordan Pickford's face, while the goalkeeper remained on his knees. Then came the banner. Then came the brawl after the final. Everything happened within days. Romero heads back to North London carrying all of that baggage, and conversations among Spurs supporters have changed dramatically since July. Then comes Enzo Fernandez, perhaps the most controversial of them all. Already criticized over previous racist chants aimed at France's black players, comments suggesting English people clean for him, punching an English opponent early in the semi-final, arguing aggressively with officials during the final, sending a teenage ball boy flying during the celebrations, and ultimately playing his part in Argentina's defeat. Now he returns to Chelsea knowing every away stadium has spent months preparing to remind him of it. Together, these three players represent something English football has rarely experienced. Not one controversial player returning from an international tournament. Three, all from the same national team, each involved in separate incidents, each adding fuel to the controversy. The banner, the brawl, the individual behavior, and now they all return to England together. Meanwhile, over in Madrid, Atletico Madrid are dealing with two completely different problems involving two different Argentine players. Let's begin with Julian Alvarez. Only days after Argentina lost the World Cup final to Spain, while Madrid was still celebrating in the streets, Alvarez gave an interview to ESPN. He said, "I've spoken with Atletico, and I believe the best solution for everyone is for me to leave." His dream, he admitted, was Barcelona, Atletico Madrid's biggest rivals. The club their supporters dislike more than any other. Many fans were already frustrated with Argentina's behavior throughout the tournament, and especially after the final against Spain. Then their own striker publicly announced his dream was to join Barcelona. Timing couldn't have been worse. Spanish journalist Luis Cortés responded bluntly, "Julian Alvarez cannot continue at Atletico Madrid. Nobody will believe an apology now." Atletico reportedly see only two possibilities. Either he stays and somehow rebuilds trust with supporters who now question his commitment, or he leaves. But one destination is completely off the table: Barcelona. Atletico reportedly have no intention of selling him there regardless of the offer. Arsenal and PSG are now viewed as the only realistic alternatives. A player dreaming of Barcelona may instead find himself in England or France because of the way everything unfolded. Then there's Nahuel Molina, the player who sparked the post-match brawl by punching Rodri in the stomach as Spain's captain simply ran to celebrate victory. Rodri isn't just another footballer. He's Manchester City's star midfielder, Spain's captain, the Golden Ball winner, a national hero after leading Spain to the World Cup. He returned from serious injury to produce the greatest performance of his career, and Molina punched him during the celebrations. Now Molina has to report back to Atletico Madrid, to a city still celebrating Spain's triumph, to Spanish teammates, to supporters who watched their national hero being attacked by one of their own club's players. That first day of preseason promises to be one of the most uncomfortable moments in European football this summer. Unlike Alvarez, Molina hasn't asked for a transfer. He simply has to show up. And above everything else hangs one extraordinary number: 23,316,108 signatures, collected from 170 countries. One of the largest online petitions ever created, calling for Argentina to be banned from the next World Cup. That petition changes nothing legally. It doesn't cancel visas. It doesn't force transfers. It doesn't automatically punish anyone. but it delivers one unmistakable message to every Argentine player competing in Europe. The goodwill they once enjoyed has disappeared. Public opinion has shifted. Whether fairly or unfairly, many people have already reached their conclusion. And now the consequences are arriving one step at a time. One training ground, one away stadium, one political debate. The Premier League season is almost here. 3 Argentine players are about to return to England carrying everything that happened between June and July. And they'll be doing it in front of supporters who watched every moment and haven't forgotten any of it. So let me know in the comments. Can English fans eventually move on from everything that's happened? Or has this World Cup permanently changed how these players will be viewed at their clubs? And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel.